for 2016.
I'm completely flabbergasted and honored. The company I was in, I mean, these authors today, when we had a chance to sit down for an hour and a half on a panel, I was nervous. I was most nervous for that part, you know, to have to talk about writing for an hour and a half in front of an audience, but we were so comfortable together, and just it felt like truly like I already knew them in a really personal way, because we have the same challenges and the same celebrations, and so to then receive this honor after having that opportunity was just icing on the cake, and I really appreciated it. I was fortunate to grow up here and to go to college here. I went to college at DePaul and Greencastle, and I didn't know at the time, but I was fortunate to leave for quite a few years because I really missed Indiana, and I knew I wanted to come back, but being in academia, I knew I probably was just gonna have to go where the wind blew me, and for a long, long time it wasn't Indiana. And my husband and I were very fortunate to move back a couple years ago, and looking back at that time away, that's when my first book came out. I really think that sense of missing Indiana and missing home and being homesick really shaped my writing. And also the odd approach in my writing. I think I had a chance being away from Indiana to look at it through a different lens and think, you know what, that's kind of a weird place I'm from, and there's a cool, strange way to look at the world when you live in a place like Indiana. And I think a lot of richness has worked into my inspiration because of that. Being from Indiana, born and raised a Hoosier, has given me the gift of seeing the weird that exists in the ordinary every day. And one of my big worries as a writer who often takes on surreal slants or uncanny or magical realist slants, I worry that my characters might start to disappear because the strange, you know, can be such a big presence on the page. But I'm trying to find the balance where the strange actually uncovers just an ordinary human life and an ordinary human situation. And for some reason, I think Indiana has a lot to do with it. I feel like I have a third eye in my head that opens up when I'm writing, and my lens is the weird and the uncanny, and Indiana has that weirdness and that uncanniness tucked into it, in the farmland and the woods and the cities pushing up against it, and so I'm really fortunate to have that as an influence. I went to school number 55, which was a Montessori approach at that time, and every morning we came in and got to choose what we did for the first part of the day. And for some reason I gravitated towards writing, so I started writing short stories, and I kind of lost sight of that for a while, but then in college was fortunate to be surrounded by amazing creative writing professors and reignited that drive to make it a career and to give it a shot. So my story collection, What You're Now Enjoying, I think it actually is kind of a detour in my writing career. I've been working on a novel now for over 8 years, since before I had children, and after my second son was born, I was too flustered to focus on a project that big. I thought it was just too big for me, and so I went back to my short stories, and it felt very comfortable and it felt like home, but I also thought it was just practice, you know, returning to the short stories. I was going to get ready for the novel, to finish the novel, and so I started writing during my son's naps and just let myself have a feeling of playfulness that I hadn't for a really long time. And what I love about that book, What You're Now Enjoying, is that it was a surprise to me that it was a book, and realizing that, oh, this is where I have a book right now, and this is what I could try to get published, was just, any moment of surprise for a writer is such a gift, whether it's, you know, working on a specific sentence, paragraph, chapter, or realizing, oh, this is my project right now, this book right here. So it was a gift in that way. Well, I'm still dedicated to this novel that's been alive for almost a decade now, and it's probably been almost 10 different books. And I think letting it change so much has allowed me to feel like I'm constantly working on something new. So it always feels like a new project, even though it came from the original seed of something. And also learning to give myself permission to take breaks and to write short fiction and write poetry and feel playful when I start to feel the pressure of the novel as a big project. You know, and I taught creative writing at the college level for 12 years, and I was given the opportunity to take a break from it, and I really miss it, but I wanted to try writing full-time, and even though it's my full-time thing, it's really hard sometimes to convince myself, you're a real writer, you know, and it's hard to let myself live in that kind of confidence. And so this kind of award is just, it's timely right now, and it's helping me believe that I'm a writer, and this is where I need to be, and I need to keep going, and it's a joyful reminder of that.